Today, we're talking about 3 offseason moves that are already paying off this season for the Washington Commanders. And so before we go ahead and we jump into it, I first want to remind you to hit that subscribe button, just like Jaden Daniels is going to be hitting Terry McLaurin, Deebo Samuel, Zach Ertz, and many others for multiple touchdowns this season. And so in exchange for hitting that subscribe button, I'm going to give you nothing but daily content around the Washington Commanders. And so make sure that you hit that like, you hit that subscribe, and you join the Washington Commanders Insider family as we talk nothing but Washington Commanders football. And so with that being said, let's go ahead and let's jump into it as we are talking about 3 offseason moves that is already paying off for the Washington Commanders this season. And so the first move that's already paying off for the Washington Commanders is drafting Jacory Croskey-Merritt. And so Jacory Croskey-Merritt, aka Bill, is paying off in a big way for the Commanders early. And so I think that the first thing that Bill has done is really just help establish the identity of this team. And so if you've got a chance to look at the games over the first 5 weeks, it is clear that when the Commanders do well, they start with running the football and they're able to establish that. And so I think that every time that Bill has been given the opportunity to go out there and step up, he has done that, especially, in this last game against the Chargers. You got a chance to just see exactly what he can do. And I just think that with his running style, it's perfect for what the Washington Commanders need, because with Bill, he's able to do all of the runs. We talked about this just over several videos. This is a player that can run inside the tackles, knows how to be tough and physical there. Also, this is a player that can get outside the tackle and get to the outside and uses speed there. And just like Coach Dan Quinn was talking about, with just his ability to cut and the violent cuts and just being able to get in position to get into the openings and spaces that he needs to, he's been terrific there. And so, look, I think that the Commanders really got a big time payoff here with Bill. And I think that when people look back at this last draft, they're going to see that Bill should have been drafted much higher. I think that he's a player that certainly is very underrated out of this last draft. And I just love the fact that every game he's going out there and showing exactly what he can do. And just how big is his impact? Well, right now, at the time of this podcast, he currently leads the Commanders in rushing with 283 yards on 43 carries. He's averaging 6.6. And he's got 4 touchdowns already. And so, we're heading into week 6. And I'm just hoping that Cliff Kingsbury, what he's going to do is now with this running back by committee, hopefully it's going to start with Bill, and then you sprinkle in the rest of the runners, including Jaden Daniels, even though we know that he's going to get his share, just being a scrambler and everything else. But when you do have the design runs, I think that everything should start with Bill. And so he's been fantastic for the Commanders. And I think that he is certainly an offseason move that is already paying off for the Commanders. It just looks like that they found some real gold here in the 7th round with Bill. And so the next player that's already paying off early for the Commanders is going to be Deebo Samuel. I think that a lot of people looked at this trade with Deebo Samuel and they didn't think too much of it. I think that if you looked at the just last season with the San Francisco 49ers, I think a lot of people were wondering, okay, is Deebo going to be able to, stay healthy during the season and everything else? Has his best time already passed and all that stuff? But, Deebo Samuel's come in, he's worked extremely hard. And I just love the fact that he came in and he put in the extra work with Jaden Daniels. And so we talked about just really the conversation around Terry McLaurin and just the contract and everything else. But it's really paid off big because, Terry McLaurin, he's been injured. It was a slow start, but Deebo Samuel has been off to a great start. He's already got 30 receptions on 38 targets. And so there's only 8 passes that he has not caught. He's at 300 yards and he's averaging 10 yards per catch, and he's got 3 touchdowns already. And so comparatively speaking to the 2024 season with the San Francisco 49ers, 15 games played, 51 receptions, and that was on 81 targets and 670 yards and 3 touchdowns on 13.1 the average. And so, look, I think that those numbers are going to continue to go up with Deebo Samuel. And I think that when you got a chance to look at that Chargers game, and we went over the stats, he got just all, the catches and stuff like that and all the looks, and everybody else just had a catch. Now, they were big catches, but that just shows you, just how dominant Deebo Samuel can be. And I just love the fact that when you go back and you look at his catches, you can see, his catch radius, just the way that he's able to use the strong hands to bring it in. And he is tough to bring down. And so Deebo Samuel has been huge for this team. I love the fact that you're able to use him in these reverses and you can use him out of the backfield. And so I think that once, we do get Terry McLaurin and Noah Brown back, I think that you're going to see Deebo Samuel take another step forward. But I think that he is already paying off in a big way here with the Washington Commanders. And I just think it's going to help us once we get down to playoff time here. And so I know we're still a long way away, but look, I think the Commanders are trending in the right direction. And so the next player that has really paid off for the Washington Commanders is going to be, I think, Javon Kinlaw. I think that he's been huge for the Washington Commanders, especially when you're talking about stopping the run and then just getting pressure and just really getting an identity up front. I think that Javon Kinlaw has done a great job here. And so I believe right now at the time of this current recording, he is fourth as far as tackles for loss. And so he's doing a terrific job there. And I just love, just the nastiness and the attitude that we see from Javon Kinlaw on a week-to-week basis. And I think a lot of people were wondering, okay, is this signing going to pay off? And I think that he's done a fabulous job thus far. He's got 4 assists. He's got 8 solos right now. Doesn't have a sack. But again, I think that when you just look at just the things that he's doing on a day-to-day basis in these games, or in a game-to-game basis, I should say, he's doing a terrific job. He's also brought it there on the practices and stuff like that. We've talked about that with him in training camp. But Javon Kinlaw, I think, is a player that is immediately paying off for the Commanders. They needed this size. They needed this versatility up front. They needed somebody that could get into the backfield and create these negative plays. And I think that this is something that this Commanders team is just building off of. And again, we're heading into week 6, which is another, quarter of the season here. But I think that they're starting to really catch their stride here. And so I think if they can continue to clean up the tackling and stuff like that, you're going to see, I think, some more run stops and stuff like that early. And I also think that this is going to help them as far as create some turnovers down the field as well, because they're going to start to get even more, I think, penetration into the backfield. So these are my 3 players that I think have paid off early for the Washington Commanders. Once again, I got Javon Kinlaw, Deebo Samuel, Jacory Croskey-Merritt, a.k.a. Bill. All 3 players have been big so far this season for the Washington Commanders. And not to take anything away from all the other additions, but right now, these are the 3 that stand out. So anyway, you guys let me know in the comments here, are there other players that have really stood out for you thus far that the Commanders went out and added, via the draft or, via free agency, trade, or whatnot? Just let me know here in the comments what you guys are thinking. And look, we'll be talking more Commanders. And as we always say, go Commanders. And I will see you guys on the next one. All right, peace.